Hello, everybody. Hello, Brooke. Hello, Phoenix. How are we doing today? I love all of you guys, and I'm super excited to do this today. Let me be honest, I was uncertain about doing the show today, if I'm honest with you. I had a little bit or a lot of imposter syndrome over the past week, and so it was in the wee hours that I hit up my good sis Shanique, and she is going to be an awesome interview, and I'm super excited that she was able to join us today. So if this is your first time joining us, welcome. This is the Amateur Expert Podcast. I am your girl Ashley, and we will be talking to Shanique about her career path, her ideas of success, the tips and motivators that she's used along the way. And so she is in the room, so let's get started. Hey, Brandon. Oh, there we go. Where's everyone checking in from? Shanique, there she is. Hello, beautiful.
Hi. I can hear you so much better now.
Okay, we're good?
Yes, we're good.
Awesome sauce. Happy Talk Tuesday.
Yes, happy Tuesday. Almost Friday. Not quite yet.
Fingers crossed. It's been such a long, sorry, trying to get situated. It has been such a long week, I feel, but it is Tuesday. So let's jump into it.
Yes.
Okay, my dear, tell us. Also, wait, let me just say in front of you and to you again, thank you so much for being on the show today. I'm super excited to hear your journey and your story, but also in the wee hours, I appreciate you answering the call.
Of course.
Okay, so tell us who you are and what you do currently for work.
Okay, so hi everybody. My name is Shanique Walker. I am a social worker. I work for social services, and usually when I tell people that, they automatically assume that I'm one of the bad guys, that I go in and snatch kids and stuff away.
A child stealer.
But I'm not. I'm actually in the reunification side, so I'm working with the families to bring them back together. So I'm one of the good guys. But
I love that.
Yeah. I'm a social worker by day, and then by night I do a bunch of other stuff. I sew stuff. I do makeup. I just do a lot. So, yeah.
I still think about driving to you so that you can do my hair, but just the time, it just sort of doesn't add up. But we got to get you to come back.
Yes, yeah.
To LA. So, okay. So when you were a little girl, what did you want to be when you grew up, and what was the motivating factor behind that?
When I was younger, I kind of switched through, everyone, like, they have a bunch of different things that they want to be. So I wanted to be a fashion designer when I was younger, surprisingly, which is like kind of what I'm doing now. But I don't know how to draw. I can't even draw a stick figure. So that kind of just, nope, that's not going to be me. So I let that go. Mm-hmm. And then I kind of figured out I liked helping people. So I was like, oh my God, I should totally be a teacher. So I kind of stuck with like the teacher idea for a while.
Okay.
I went to college in Florida with the intention of being a third grade teacher. So my first 2 years.
Why third grade? How did you pick?
Yeah. So I figured like third grade was like that pivotal grade where you kind of, it's like the grade before you start learning like the harder math, before you start learning all of like the more in-depth stuff. And I feel like that's like the perfect age where you can still, like, they're still young enough to kind of mold them, and they're not old enough to where they're talking back and showing attitude and not listening to you. Yeah. So I felt like third grade was like right there in the middle.
I think that it's around third grade where my mom said things started going downhill for me. No, I'm just kidding.
Just third grade, but things went wrong.
I'm just kidding.
No, that's like, I just wanted to be more of an influence at that grade and at that age. But when I was in Florida and I started doing student teaching by my sophomore year, I was like, you know what? I don't know about this. I did like teaching and I like, influencing and helping people, but
Mm-hmm.
I realized that I wasn't making as much of an impact as I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to because there were so many kids. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I'd rather, like talk to people one-on-one. I'm really great at like one-on-one stuff or like small group stuff. So when I
Yeah.
would break the kids up in smaller groups and there was
Mm-hmm.
like two or three of them, I could literally sit with them and watch that light bulb go off. And I was like, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm not supposed to be teaching a class of 20. Not that it's like not, possible, but just
Yeah.
for me, I felt like more of a connection with like just one-on-one kind of stuff. So then I kind of switched to psychology and more of like counseling. And I was like, oh, I want to be a counselor, a therapist. So I kind of went that route.
Okay. Okay.
And yeah, and then I graduated and then I stayed in Florida. And then I was working at this inpatient facility where kids of all ages, they
Mm-hmm.
lived in this like kind of group home type setting.
Okay.
And I was one of the counselors there. So I would work one-on-one with kids that were sexually abused, physically
Mm-hmm.
abused, had, disturbances, stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
I was able to make that one-on-one connection and also, like help them through all the
Yeah.
crazy stuff that they were going through. So
I love how
that
God
was,
works
yeah.
and how you were able to see the different changes and
Mm-hmm.
the things that would propel you to be a better influence or make a better impact. Um, okay, so when you were younger and you wanted to be a teacher
Mm-hmm.
or fashion designer slash
Mm-hmm.
teacher, what does success look like? Like, what did you think success meant to you when you were younger?
When I was younger, like really younger, not thinking like job wise, like fashion
Hmm.
designer or teacher, I pictured success as having money, like being so rich where you can go into the store and swipe your card and just having as much money as you wanted.
Yes.
But now I have a different idea of success. It's not as like black and white. It's not you're broke or you're rich. It's more of like that gray area in the middle. So it's
Hmm.
more of like the things that you're doing, the things that you're accomplishing. Because, I have my ideas of success that are probably different than your ideas of success because we're on different paths. So for me, it's just really just like success is just accomplishing the goals that you want to accomplish and then being able to look back and be like, dang, I really did that. Like that was me. I
Yeah.
put in the work. I, failed a couple times and I did this and that, but I was able to get it done. So
Yeah.
that's kind of my idea now.
And I think what's really good that you noted was that success is personal, or the definition of success is personal, right? And that's
Hmm.
what I think one of my a reason why I like asking everybody because everyone has a different definition of success. And I think it gives people a chance to be like, oh, yeah, that does mean that to me. Or like, and it can, for me, my definition of success changes often.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, there was a point in my life where I was super sad, and success literally was just like, okay, Ashley, you've got to take a shower today. Like, wake up,
Hmm.
take a shower, make the bed, right? Like, and if I was
Little
able to
things.
do that, like, it was a successful day. Now, if I were to say that, it's like, girl, right? Like, but
Really.
I
Yeah.
wasn't, you know what I mean? But I'm in a totally different headspace, and so I think
Hmm.
it's so important to note that success is is personal and
Hmm.
it can change at any point
Every day is something different. Yeah.
every day. Although for me, I still just want to walk into any store and be able to swipe my card and
That's gonna happen.
yeah.
Just speaking it into existence. It's gonna happen.
That is a level of success that we are still yearning to
Yes.
reach. Um,
Yes.
although I say that in jest, I am serious, Jesus. So if you're listening, um,
That happens
okay,
to me now, and then I'm like, wait a minute. So why did I buy this? Why did I buy that? So I'm a little more mindful now, but one day I'll just like, I don't care.
legit. Okay, so what is something that you have learned, that, or something that you're still in the process of learning that you wish you had learned sooner?
Um, there's so many things, but when I like look back at just my journey, my transition to where I am now, even thinking back to last year, January of last year, I wasn't even thinking about moving back here to California. I wasn't even thinking about being a social, like the stuff that I'm doing now, sewing. I literally started sewing in March of this year. So all of this, or not, 2020. I'm still in 2020.
It's so close. We understand.
Yeah. So it's just like, I guess the biggest thing for me is just being patient with myself and not trying to rush things, because a lot of the time we have like our own internal clock. Like a lot of people, oh, I have to be, I have to have kids before I'm 30. I have to make this amount of money. I have to do that. We're so like eager to like rush things that when it doesn't come when we want it to, we kind of get discouraged, we get depressed, we kind of withdraw, and then we start doubting ourselves. And that's not like what we should do, but it just happens so naturally because we're just so accustomed to doing that. So if I can like kind of go back and tell myself like, girl, slow down, like don't be so consumed about checking off all these boxes. They'll get checked off regardless. And if they don't, make a new box, So it's like, don't get so like fixated on
box.
Yeah, because I know even for myself, and I think we had talked about it on my birthday, like my birthday weekend when I came to LA, and it was kind of like when you were just like, it's okay to say no, like, you don't have to do certain things. And that kind of like stuck with me because I'm like rushing to try to get all this stuff done. I'm like really just trying to get this stuff to happen, and it doesn't need like, I can just chill and just, let it happen naturally and just make a new box.
Listen, so I literally, I just want everyone to see. I took my eyes off the screen for 2 seconds so that I could make a new box. Roz just wrote that as well. Like, what?
Yes.
Who is taking up the offering? Where are the ushers? I need to put on the white gloves, because that was definitely a word. And I think, like I was saying at the top of the show, I was uncertain about doing today's episode because it was sort of like, I think I was like shaking off the New Year's blues, right? So everyone's like, new year, new me, new year, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to set my goals and my priorities and all of the things. And I was like, I had such an awesome fourth quarter. And I would dare to say year, right? Granted, there were ups and downs and things of that nature. And we'll talk about the show specifically, not like life, but and so for me it was just like, what is next? What do I, and I was completely just like overwhelmed. And so make a new box, right? Like, just girl, just Seriously. Do it. Yeah, it's gonna be okay.
And most of the times the boxes that we have are not even our boxes. They're the boxes that we think other people would want. And like, I'm in therapy, and one of the things my therapist and I worked on was, she's like, oh, what are some things that you want to accomplish? And I was like, oh, I want to get my license. I want to be a licensed social worker. I want to be a licensed esthetician. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do that. And she's like, whoa, slow down. And I was like, what? She's like, are you doing that stuff for you, or are you doing that stuff for other people? And I was like, oh, they're for me. And she's like, really, like, sit back and really think about it. Like, are you just doing stuff for you or doing stuff to impress other people? And I was like, oh, that's a good, like, I am doing it for me, but part of the reason is just, so I can have that like validation from other people in a way. Like, oh, wow, she's able to do all of that. But it shouldn't even come to that. So kind of like what I said, like, just, like, like, I'm reading what she's saying. But like, just kind of reevaluate the boxes that you guys do have, and it's okay to just come back to boxes, create new boxes, like make little, like the indents of like the letter A and the number,
like, outline.
Yes, like make little goals, little successes that you can do that will kind of lead you back to that bigger box. So yeah. But the biggest thing that we've kind of like fall into is just getting discouraged, and kind of like what you said, like just kind of getting into that like downward spiral. And that's kind of when I try to reach out to my support system, like my friends, my family, people that have been like motivating me and pushing me along the way. And like, we don't know it all, but like if we can reach out to someone else, they might have a little bit of information. They might know somebody that knows some, like, so it's just really good to just make the connections. And even through like Instagram, I have met billions of people, and I have like actually made really good friends from
Yeah,
Instagram
for
and
sure.
people that I've will probably never meet in person, but
Yeah,
like
no,
we're
that's
like
so
best
real.
friends on Instagram and social media. So that plays a part as well.
Hmm.
As long as you make it like a positive thing, because a lot of people can go on Instagram and get kind of sucked into that whole lifestyle of,
Comparison. Yeah.
yeah, like my life has to be perfect. And it's not. And I think with me and a lot of people, um, sorry, that I follow, kind of like talk to me about like stuff that's going on is because I'm genuine. Like I posted the reel of me falling. Like I post all kind of stuff of me just doing dumb stuff and just being real. Like, my
Hmm.
life is not glamorous and all this stuff. I'm not, not every post is gonna be, filtered and all that stuff. Like, no, you're gonna see me without makeup. You're gonna see me with all my stretch marks. You're gonna see me falling down because I went on a 7 mile hike that I shouldn't have went on. But all of that stuff just makes us who we are, and like other
Hmm.
people kind of feed off of that. And if we like pretend so long to be someone else or to feed into someone else's, ideal of what, we should be, then we kind of lose ourselves, and that's kind of that's definitely not what we want to do.
That's so
Sorry
good.
to make that long answer.
No, this, listen, it is, this is a very relaxed setting. We just like to
Yeah.
chat, laugh,
Yeah.
and learn. Okay, so you mentioned that when you start to feel discouraged, you reach out to your support group.
Mhm.
And so what are some other things that you do to motivate yourself? So what tips could you give others? And not necessarily just discouragement, but just sort of like along your career path,
Mhm.
how did you keep going? Yeah, so just talk to us about that a little bit.
I would say, well, the biggest thing for me, like in 2020 and like kind of rediscovering myself was getting into therapy.
Mhm.
I encourage everyone to do therapy, even if you can't like afford an actual therapist, talk to someone that's like not really related to your situation just to get that outsider perspective. Because that's
That's
really
good.
kind of helped me like reevaluate and see things from a different side.
Hmm.
And just like going through all the different trials and errors that I've been through, the different traumas that I've been through, just going through everything and just knowing that I have friends and family to fall back on, just knowing that, I can sit back and just look at the little success, like, hey, I made my bed today. Like, that's one thing I couldn't have done, like just looking at
Listen.
those little things, just reminding yourself, like, dude, you can do it. And if you can't, just take a step back for a little bit,
Hmm.
reevaluate, get that motivation back up, talk to some people, cry it out, and then just
Hmm.
get back to it. That's another thing that my therapist kind of shared. I'm just giving all these tips away.
Listen, take it, because
But she had, because I'm really good at like keeping my emotions inside as far
hmm.
as like, like, oh, I'm stronger than that. I don't need to cry. Like, I don't need to deal with that. I'll deal with that later.
Hmm.
She
Hmm.
kind of told me to have crying time each day. So if
Love
there's
that.
something that pops up in my head or something that worries me or something, try not to let it bother my day, but just like write it down or something and then give myself, an hour, 2 hours, 5 hours at night and just cry it out. Just let the emotions just run. And then sooner, after like you doing that
Yeah, yeah.
repeatedly, you'll get to a point where you're like, you know what? Like, I feel like a lot better. Like, I just feel overall just good. And, things will happen and it won't affect you as much because you've
Hmm.
already kind of dealt with that stuff and you just kind of already know how to like manage and navigate through that emotion. So I probably cry like almost every day, which is not like when you hear that, you're like, oh my God, what's wrong? But crying is actually good. Like I encourage
Yeah,
everybody to cry. Men, you guys need to be crying too. Like men,
all
you
the
guys
time.
hold it all in and
Hmm.
it's definitely not good. So definitely take time to cry it out. Just thinking back on like this past year, there's so much stuff that has happened that I haven't, I still haven't fully like dealt with, but I am
Hmm.
dealing with. And
Yeah.
through, the support of my family, my friends, the encouragement of my therapist, and just me like being mindful of my own surroundings and my own
Hmm.
stuff,
Hmm.
it's just getting dealt with. So um,
That's
I
so
encourage
good.
you guys to just therapy, cry it out, talk it out, write it out, whatever it takes to just kind of get it all out. It's helpful.
That's so good. One of the things that I have been sort of struggling with, and one of the things that I was actually talking to my cousin about this earlier, is that like because of my faith, one, and two, because I am like rational,
Hmm.
like I will be upset about something, and then I'll be like, or or have an emotion, right? Like I would be upset or I will be overwhelmed or whatever. And I'm like, but there are so many people who are struggling with COVID or who can't pay their bills
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. And it's sort of like, I try to minimize what I'm feeling, right? And it's like, I think it's very like what I've learned from myself is that I can be upset about whatever it is and still understand that people are dying or people can't afford or people can't whatever, but it doesn't diminish what I am feeling and to give
Hmm.
myself time to feel my feeling, right? And not um, shun it because it
Hmm.
just ends up getting bigger and bigger to feel the
Yeah.
feeling and then release it, let it go. So whether it's singing a loud song or listening
Hmm.
to a song on repeat or crying or whatever your release is. But I
Yeah.
also think a part of releasing, or I think it's important to feel it, right? Because that's what I wasn't doing, right? Like
Hmm.
to feel the feeling, acknowledge the feeling, and then to release it. It reminds me of Grey's Anatomy where they'd be like, all right, we gotta dance it out.
Hmm.
Dance it
Stick it out.
out.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk to you about your entrepreneurial the entrepreneurial leg of your career, right? And so I know you said you started sewing in March, and as we heard that it was always a part of the goal, always a part of the plan, or like it was implanted in you from when you were a little girl.
Hmm.
Um, so why March? What happened? Like what happened? How did you? How did it?
Yeah.
How did it become a thing?
Okay, so I finished grad school in February of 2020 and like the end of February, and then thank you.
Congrats, congrats.
And I want to say a week later, I had packed up everything and drove with my best friend here to California. And then that
Okay.
next week, I started my job. So I literally had like maybe 2 weeks, if only, of not doing anything. Because before that, when I was in Florida, I was working 5 jobs. I was
Good
doing
for
my
you.
internship, doing classes, working at Sephora, doing all kinds of stuff. Um, because I was just so, so used to just doing stuff. And then coming out here and working, I think I worked 2 weeks at my job. And then obviously COVID happened. And I was just
Mhm.
like, oh my God, for one, I don't know what it means to be a social worker. I was working at a private school. I don't
Mhm.
know what it means to
Yeah.
deal with this whole case management stuff.
Mhm.
So it's just the like fact of me trying to figure out my job, my role while I'm dealing with people's lives and
Mhm.
families,
Yeah.
and also just trying not to go crazy because I was staying with my sister. Um, just being in the house and just the fear of just what's going on outside of this
Mhm.
apartment kind of
Mm.
thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so I don't want to just go bored. And I was doing like my makeup videos, and I think TikTok was like taking off. So I'm like over here trying to rehearse dances and get it right. And I was like, okay, so I need to do something else productive with my time. And I'm just thinking,
Mhm.
okay, so what else am I good at? I can't draw, I can't sing, I can't
But the thing is that
dance.
though you draw the eyebrows, honey, I just amazing.
I
Okay,
can
keep going.
draw on my face, but as far as like sketching out designs, like
Fair, fair.
I'll draw a triangle, that's my skirt, like so, but in my head it's this lavish thing, but on
Mhm.
paper if I'm showing you, you're like, what? But
Yeah.
in here that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Uh so I was just like, I need something to do, and then I was like, well, why don't I just get a sewing machine? And because I never really knew how to sew. Like my grandma knew how to sew, and my mom would do like little stuff, but no
Mhm.
one ever sat and taught me how to sew. So I
Okay.
was like, YouTube University, it's free.
Mhm.
Let me go there. And all like most of the sewing machines were like sold out because everyone was home doing stuff. So I'm like,
Mhm.
all right, maybe I'm not meant to sew. So I think my mom had found a sewing machine at a Walmart in Florida. So she sent it to me
Love
here.
that. Love that.
And it turned out that the sewing machine that she sent me, it was like missing all these pieces. I'm just like, okay, this is not meant, I'm not meant to sew. And then I think I ended up trading it in and just buying one straight from, like the regular, I think Singer website. And it came in, and then I was literally like watching stuff on YouTube, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to figure out how to sew. I'm going to figure out how to make stuff. And, we're going to just go from there. And then I started buying just like random stuff at Walmart, like clearance stuff, like $2 or $3. So I'm like, I don't want to buy actual material and waste this stuff because I don't know what I'm doing yet.
Yeah.
And one of my friends, Tiffany Jones Lewis, TJL Collection, shout out to her. She has a brand, like she's had a brand for years, and she just started making stuff for people that are 5'10" and over. But I had reached out to her because she's always posting stuff, and like I had worked with her doing some modeling stuff in Florida. So I'm like, let me just message her and see if she has any tips for me. And she's like really cool. And most people that I reach out to, they're like really good at giving, free feedback and stuff. And there are some other people that are just like, oh, I'm not telling you, they're just so selfish with the stuff that they've learned. So I'm glad that she was just really open, and she was just like, oh, check out this website. It's a sewing academy online, go at your own pace kind of thing. And I was like, okay. So I check it out. It's only like $12 a month, and you get access to like, I think 44 courses, and it literally shows you like basics, like what is a sewing machine? What does this do? What is this? What is this thread? Like literally basics to making like gowns and like crazy stuff. So I was like, what? So then I started on a few courses, and then like my brain just started working, and I'm like, oh, I don't need this anymore. Let me just kind of do my own thing. I think I'm right. I'm like, I'm a professional sewer now. I'm a designer, and I think I'm still on like course 5 because I've just like stopped because I learned like the basics well enough to kind of do my own thing.
Sure.
But now that I've kind of taken kind of like a small step back of like sewing consistently, because now I'm more so focused on getting my social work license done, and I've kind of started that process. So now I have time to kind of get back into sewing. But I was just kind of like started doing my own thing, and then like I started like making bonnets and like just little stuff, and then people were like, oh my god, you're so good, you should like make other stuff. And I was just like, can I watched another course, watched some YouTube videos, sewing stuff, messing up on stuff, like having my sister look at stuff, just doing all kind of crazy stuff. And then I just started like trying on stuff, showing people, and they're like, oh no, this is good, keep doing stuff. And then I like sat and thought, because I'm like, okay, so in order for me to be an actual designer, I'm going to need a lot more time. I'm going to really need to go through all 44 of these courses. So in the meantime, I can like try to do something else. And I'm like, what's something that people use every day, like they don't even think about? And I'm like trying to think. I'm like, of course clothes, but I don't want to work on clothes yet. So I'm like thinking, and I'm like, well, I use a purse every day. So I'm like, why don't I just make purses? So then I searched how to make like a tote bag, and it wasn't that hard. And I'm like, okay. So then I went to Joann's, and it just like everything just worked out perfectly, because the one right by my house, they were going out of business. So everything was like 90% off.
Oh, I was like, love a good sale.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, okay. So I'm like walking around, and like, they're like saying, because usually when I would go in, I would just get, like 1 or 2 yards. And I'm like, oh, I'm just playing around with stuff. And they're like, no, you have to get everything by the bolt, which is just like the whole thing. And I was like, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do with all this stuff. I don't know, what I'm doing yet. But I was like, whatever. So I ended up leaving with 32 bolts of fabric. I'm talking about leathers, lace, polyester, like all kinds of crazy stuff. I think I saved $1,200 I saved, and I only spent like $130.
Holy hot rock.
So I was like, what am I gonna do with all this stuff? I'm like, now I need to watch these courses. I need, like figure out stuff to do with all this fabric. And I still have a bunch of stuff just sitting here that I still need to work on. But I just started watching YouTube stuff and just looking at the purses that I have that I wear every day. And I'm like, okay, so let me turn this inside out. Okay, I see how they made that. I see how they made that. And just trial and error, just sewing stuff, messing up, getting different needles, messing up thread, just literally just messing up. But I was so happy to mess up because I can now I can look and see exactly what I'm messing up on and redo it. Now I'm like a little bit better at like eyeing stuff, but yeah. Sorry, I just completely went all off track.
No, I think because
I started talking.
No, it's okay, because I think some of the things that you've said, well, everything that you said is important, right? But I think something that stood out to me, you're talking about designing, you're talking about fashion, you're talking about clothes, but you're also talking about process, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's important for us to realize that a part of getting to the end goal is to realize that there's going to be failures, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to trial and error.
Yes.
You think something is going to come out a certain way and it's not. So you have to be able to be flexible. You have to be able to be learnable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're gonna roll with it.
Teachable.
Yeah. Learnable words.
Yeah, maybe we're gonna add that to our new box. Anyhow, but also too, like reverse engineering, right? And so you said you have a purse that you like, that and you inside out. Okay, how can I construct this based on something that I see? And I think that's important for us to realize in regards to manifesting, in regards to creating or not creating, but reaching our goals and our dreams. Anything is possible if you're able to fail. If you know what I mean? Because it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be, well, let me not put that on y'all. It might be easy, but there is a chance that it may be difficult. And not only that, there's a chance that you're going to have to keep going, right? Yeah. So you have to fail, but get back up again and keep trying, keep going. And to always have, like a lot of people say, a North Star, right? So what are you trying to get at? And always keep that as your main focus, and reverse engineer it when things start to get tough. Shanique, this has been amazing. Right? And I think that as I continue to do these, it's important for me to continue to do these, even when my brain says otherwise, because I get inspired each week, and I am just grateful to be able to have the connection and to chat with you, honestly. And so as we are wrapping up, I am the amateur expert, and I claim to know a little bit about a lot. It's actually something that my mom has always taught me to do, because she says it's very important. And so I want to know from you, please, a random fact, a tidbit of information that is cool or interesting, that I can say I learned from you.
I have no idea. I am pretty weird, so I'm trying to be cautious about what I say.
It doesn't have to be about you specifically. It could be a sewing. It could be a sewing tip or hack. It could be a tip for makeup or blemishes. I saw you did a video on that recently.
Yeah, color corrector helps.
Yeah. So anything that is just like completely random that I can just add into my toolbox.
I'm like drawing a blank. Okay, let me just go to makeup, because all my makeup is here. You can use setting spray before and after you do your makeup. So sometimes if I want my makeup to stay on longer, I'll put a bunch of setting spray on, and then I'll put powder on and like let it sit, and then do my makeup, and then put setting spray on again at the end. I don't know.
Okay, wait, hold on. So let me just make sure I'm understanding, because I don't do my makeup well.
I'm sure you do a great job.
Ma'am, thank you for being sweet. But what I'm hearing you say is that I can use a setting spray, put on a setting powder, or just like a
like a loose powder, or just setting spray. Yeah.
Okay, and then I chill out for a few seconds, and then I put on the foundation and all the other stuff that goes on your face.
Yes.
And then you setting spray again.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another tip I just thought of, I'm sure you'd probably know it, but one of my friends, she didn't know it, so I wanted to tell her, like when you put lipstick on, do like the thumb check. So like that, and then like the lipstick will go around here rather than get on your teeth.
On your teeth.
Yeah.
No, that is good. The setting spray was definitely a new one. And now maybe next week I will have on makeup and I will say, just so y'all know, I put on setting spray first because that is what Shanique told us. Yes. Okay, so everyone never knew about the thumb check. See, you are giving people
just like that, and you won't get it on your teeth.
Love, love, love. Shanique, this has been amazing. How can people follow you? How can they support you? What do you have coming up next? We've got bags, purses.
Yes. So you guys can follow me, Simply Shanique, on Instagram, YouTube, Simply Shanique. I'm trying to get back into YouTube. It's just a lot of work. So I'm just doing like stuff on Instagram. But Simply Shanique on Instagram.
So take your videos from Instagram and put them on YouTube in between you making new content for YouTube. Because some people don't go back and watch your stuff on Instagram and because they're YouTube people. So you can just not recreate the wheel and just take your stuff and put it on.
Oh my God, thank you so much. You're welcome. I didn't know about that. So follow me on YouTube because I'm about to start posting more on YouTube as of today. And my website, simplyshanique.com. It's mostly purses and bags and stuff on there. And like I said, once I slowly get through all the courses, the 39, however many courses I have left, I'll be doing more clothing items. But yeah, just follow me, reach out, guys. Like, I'm super nice. I definitely give away free information, so I'm not selfish at all.
Awesome. And she does post awesome content, so definitely support. This has been amazing. Okay, so we have to be still for Raj. I'm so happy that the comments don't save. I'm not going to repeat that on the camera. So, okay, so we're going to be still and we're going to smile for the camera so that we have a cute screenshot at the end. Yeah, because and we have to, yes, we have to be still for like 5 seconds because otherwise, as I'm going through, it's like us all out of whack. So,
okay,
ready and go. Awesome!
Yay! I was like, wait, is she frozen?
Yes, that is the vibe. But again, this has been amazing. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Shanique, for answering the call literally in the 9th hour.
Good.
Guys, tune in next week for another episode. And yes, please be sure to support Shanique. She's doing great work. So
thanks, guys.
Everyone have a great rest of your Tuesday, and we out.
Bye.
Bye.